take my
This
sleeping
next
pills.
story comes from Igen. Sorry, it comes from IGN.
That's a word.
This is an interim review. It says how the director of the Metal Gear movie would make a Zelda movie. And this is a little snippet from a Comic-Con panel, I think that Mr. Director guy did. So, Tom Marks from IGN writes, speaking on IGN's Comic-Con live show about his upcoming Metal Gear Solid movie, we asked director Jordan Vogt-Roberts for his take on how he would make a Zelda movie if he had the opportunity. So I think we all know Ilya and my own take on how to make a Zelda movie.
Mm-hmm.
You don't.
But since this is an actual director who is a fan of the Zelda games and is, again, an actual director,
sure,
and who has worked...
Just because he's a director.
I think he made the King Kong movie, and now he's working on Metal Gear. So... Wow. He's chosen nerdy video game-ish movies.
Mm-hmm.
But what does he have to say about how he would do it?
And I actually kind of like this.
I was gonna say I like some of this.
He says the thing about Zelda is not Lord of the Rings, right? You cannot forget how quirky and bizarre Zelda is. Case in point, Tingle exists.
Yeah.
I think you need to find a way to actually fuse the traditional Zelda and the very new Zelda. Very intensely fuse the pure, just sort of fantasy of the Ocarina of Time and the Link to the Past, but then I think you need to find a way to incorporate the newer pseudo-tech stuff, you know, the lasers and Tron lines that happen in the newer games, but in a way that's not overwhelming. On top of that, Vogt-Roberts said he wouldn't want to make Link talk. I actually fully think Link should not speak the entire film. I would do a film where he's a silent protagonist. San Diego Comic-Con runs from July 19th to 22nd, and IGN will be on location, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so that's the rest of the article. So,
you know what? How they should make the Tingle? The Zelda movie? They should make a horror Tingle movie.
Oh, I'd watch that.
To where it's just people camping in the woods, but every now and then, like, you see Tingle peeking out of a tree or something.
Oh.
You hear whispers in your sleep.
Oh my god. No.
Kula Limpa.
No. No, it's
he
like...
gets his brothers and they start chanting it from the forest.
So it's like It, where you see, like, the random balloon floating, except it's one of Tingle's balloons.
Oh, that's how he watches you.
Yeah.
Ew.
Like you,
and if you look up and you make eye contact with him, all you can do is run. But anyways, back to the Zelda movie.
Yeah.
I kind of like what he's saying about, like, Zelda. A lot of people, when they talk about wanting to make a Zelda movie, they've got very much like Lord of the Rings in mind. And he's right. Zelda
That's
is
what the
not...
Netflix rumor was.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, I don't want that. Zelda is weird, and that's part of what's endearing about it, is the weird characters and everything.
Like Tingle.
Well, yes, like Tingle, you gotta take the good with the bad, right?
Flower Lady in Breath of the Wild.
Yes, the
Goes
psychotic
crazy.
Flower Lady, the only force stronger than Calamity Ganon. There's so much goofiness, you know. There's a lot of characters like clowns in Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess, and chickens that will murder you, and all this weird stuff.
I killed a cuckoo the other day.
How could you?
I threw it in the water and it disappeared.
Oh wow!
It sure didn't like fly up away.
No.
And it marked you. It put you on its list.
I don't know. I just threw it in the water. I didn't know what would happen, and it died.
Which game?
Breath of the Wild.
Really? And it just disappeared? I think you glitched.
Just went down.
Yeah. So,
I saw a video of they said the only way to kill a cuckoo, and this came from this is a side topic, Dorkly, who are hilarious, by the way, and they tried to take a cuckoo all the way to Death Mountain.
Yes,
they had to carry it like
attempts.
from and to throw it in the lava, like the One Ring. So maybe Zelda is like Lord of the Rings.
Okay, so there was an interesting interview Aonuma had that said, like, when you're playing Breath of the Wild, he'll see a bird or something, and he'll wonder, where's that bird going? Like, where did it come from? Where is it going? And if you notice, they don't go anywhere, because once they get like 20 yards ahead of you, they just vanish. Yeah. So it's like they literally just unspawn.
They kind of pop in.
Yeah, and then they respawn somewhere else on the map. And it's like, it would be interesting to follow a bird or a deer or something to see where it goes, but you can't. Like sometimes you'll be running or chasing after one, and then it'll go so far and just vanish. Yeah. That's weird. But anyways,
happens with the lizards.
The movie. What?
Don't.
Yes.
Make a Zelda movie.
Don't. Why? No. I like the idea of the anime approach, but I would still like to see a well done live action thing.
I think the anime approach is good if you handle it in the like, I think that the anime that I think has the best chance of like translating over to Zelda, and I guess people are gonna hate me because it's not really an anime, it's made by Nickelodeon, but I love The Last Airbender. It's a great show, but mostly the structure of it, their characters actually have like an arc for starters, and it's a very drawn out. Like, the pacing is very steady, and it's long, and there's like 3 seasons with like 20 episodes per season, and they really flesh the world out, and it's a weird, quirky world. It's not Lord of the Rings. And so kind of that sort of approach to how they do the world building and handling the quirkiness of the world, I find, if I had to choose a series or a movie for Zelda, that's how I would want them to do it. It's that very long, drawn out. I don't think a 2-hour movie is enough to.
No. Like,
I just feel like you'd get into it and then it's over, and you'd feel very underwhelmed. And I think that's just because with a Zelda game, it's something you probably spend 15 to 30 hours on, like for your average player, like leisurely playing through a game. And with a movie, you've got to condense that sort of experience, capture that magic in 2 hours. So, that's why I'm always like, draw it out. If you're going to make Zelda, draw it out. Don't base it off a game that already exists. Make it a new story. But
yes.
I digress.
Ilya, what is your idea? Didn't you have a video on this?
I was going to say a little self-plug here. On my channel, I have a video about Zelda movies and if it could work. And honestly, I recorded that months ago. And even now, I still have more new thoughts, and I wish I could just throw in more video on it. I don't know.
Just do it like a follow-up video.
I might. Who knows? I mean, I'm gonna run out of video content.
Season 2.
I've made a bunch more scripts, but my thing is, I'm in the same mind. Like, there are 2 options, and option number 2 has 2 options in and of itself. Sub-options. Option 1, the best option, is don't do it. It's like when you convert a book to a movie. No one is satisfied. Ever. Like, I love The Hunger Games. I love the movies. But they couldn't... Well, not the first one. The second and third and fourth ones were done well. But no one can be completely satisfied because it's not the same experience as a book. Why? Because it's not a book. Same with a video game. Because it's a video game. And even more so, that's harder because it's a video game. It's supposed to be my experience, how I use Link, the answers I give when NPCs ask me questions. So just don't do it. But if you are gonna do it, I agree with some of what he says. As far as the Lord of the Ring things go, people get so confused when I say this, but I'm like, I like it being the aesthetic of Lord of the Rings, but it shouldn't be Lord of the Rings. Because, like he said, it's not Lord of the Rings. Like, why would you... I mean, there are quirky characters in there, but not Japanese Zelda quirky. Nothing can top that. And I like that he says that it should fuse the old and the new. I just would hope no one, if they ever do this, ever bases it off of an actual game story. Or tries to make it a prequel. Or tries to make it a sequel. So many people have been like, well, I would love to have a Twilight Princess sequel and they have Midnight. I'm like, no. in my opinion, that's where you're going to run into the same problem that you do with books in converting them.
And you kind of isolate your fan base that way, because if you... Twilight Princess is a good example. It's one of the best-selling Zelda games. Jesse, offhand, do you know how many copies it sold? Because I actually do not.
Which one?
Twilight Princess.
Like 5 or 6 million on Wii, and then 1 or 2 million on GameCube. So like 6 or 7.
So
altogether,
one of the better selling Zelda games. But if you're trying to make a movie, you want to broaden your audience. So you want to make a movie that your average Joe can go see and enjoy, without being like, huh, who's this character? What's going on? Why is that person important? That all needs to be accessible in the movie on its own. If there's things in there that might go over someone's head, and then like a hardcore fan would see and be like, whoa, that's a reference to this, I love it. Great, do that. Marvel does it all the time, and they're incredibly successful with their movies. But the base of the movie has to be enjoyable for your average person. So if you make it a Twilight Princess sequel, your average Joe's gonna be like, great, there's a Zelda movie. Maybe they haven't played Zelda since A Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time or the first Zelda game, and they go in and they're like, what? This is confusing. This isn't Zelda. I don't get it. And if you remake a story that already exists, then people are like, well, the game was like this. Same thing with books, right? Like you said.
Yeah. It just makes it a lot more difficult. And I mean, I would maybe somewhat be down for someone making a series that's inspired by the idea of Zelda. It's inspired by that kind of lore. Maybe they don't have a fully silent protagonist, but the concept behind Zelda is there. And so someone who is a Zelda fan would be like, you know, this really reminds me of this game. I see where they took things from that. But yeah, everyone's like, you know, oh, Skyward Sword has such a good story, and it does, but for a video game.
But you draw that story out for 30 hours, right? Yes. That's why it's so good. It's a really well-paced story, especially for a Zelda game. Whereas previous Zelda games, typically it's like bulk of story at the beginning, couple dungeons, bulk of story, and then like a lot happens with no story, and then the end where there's a bulk of story. Skyward Sword is very like well-paced throughout the whole game. Yeah. Something
I feel like if they did a like if they had like a 20-episode series or season, I think they would be able to do like the full amount of dungeons that they would typically have, because they could like base one episode on getting to a new area, the characters in that area, and then the next episode is the dungeon in that area. But if it was a shorter series, like 10 episodes long, then I could see them how they normally have Zelda games, to where it's like 3 dungeons, something big happens, and then more dungeons.
Yeah.
But so like I see it just the 3 dungeons, and then defeating whatever the bad thing is.
Yeah. But how do you translate a dungeon into a movie or into a series, right?
Similar.
Yeah.
In this case, I would use Lord of the Rings, when they have to travel through the mountain and there's like the giant trolls, and then in The Hobbit there's the dragon protecting the jewel that they need. So I would something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be the same as the way dungeons are in the games, of course, but there would be some creative liberties with that.
We're going to spend 30 minutes in this one scene trying to figure out how to solve this ice block.
Yeah, like, can you imagine like a whole episode and like pushing blocks? Just like, and he stands there, he's like, and he goes, pushes the block.
Yeah.
Actually, that could be pretty funny, but
I think as like some sort of fan-made film homage, like some of the stuff that we've seen in the past, like that animation of Majora's Mask, and that stuff I enjoy watching because I just know it's fan-made stuff and they're not actually trying to make a legit film or whatever. However, I must say, and this probably sounds hypocritical, if this were to come, I can't say I wouldn't try an audition. I'm not going to deny I probably would.
Oh yeah,
and it would end my career, but
but that's the thing, is as much as we talk about like, oh, it's a bad idea, whatever, we all know we'd go watch it.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
we'd all
In
go
hopes
watch
of it being good.
Yeah, just in
at
case.
And at least as people who love Zelda, we would get the references and be like, okay, that was enjoyable. I just hope I don't have to pay a lot for it. But what you were saying about being accessible, that's why I like the idea of something that's inspired by Zelda. That way you could have people who don't even know what Zelda is enjoy a series. That way it's actually popular and makes money.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely.
But that's an artist's perspective.
Yeah. I like the
thoughts,
idea. No, I think that it's nice that the director is putting the idea out there, letting Nintendo know that a real director is serious about it, and not someone who's just a fan that's like, I would love to make a Zelda movie, and Nintendo being like, no sir.
Please don't. Cease and desist.
Yeah.
Like, I need that meme with the karate chopping the button.
Yeah.
Like, Nintendo fan making fan make project. Cease and desist.
Yeah. Well, like, Nintendo, like, they hire, I don't know who the director is, but they got the one studio to work on the animated Mario movie. So if that is a success, then it is likely that we would eventually see a Zelda movie. So
I will say, I would hope that if it ever happened, they would take inspiration from, I can't remember his name, the singer dude that was on here that was Link in that short little. Yeah. I watched that. I had never seen that. I actually was like, I want more of this. I was very surprised at how good it was.
I can send you.
But then again, I don't know if I would see a whole thing.
I could send you the complete script for it. Like, that's just
how long
one
of a script. That's
just
one scene.
Yeah, that's one scene out of an entire script that he recorded.
And I think what impressed me about it is how legit it looked. Like, they didn't. I don't even know how to describe it, but I was watching and I was like, I'm not cringing. Why am I not cringing?
Well, part of it as well, the production value of that particular short is like really good. It's really good production value.
You have to have the money to make it good.
It took so many hours just to apply the ears and not make them look stupid.
That's the thing, is like
Link's
Link's outfit,
weird, but still.
You gotta really do it well, otherwise just Link's outfit will look stupid on a real person.
Yeah.
Like just the whole getup. Just right. If it's too green, it's gonna look too clean and no one's gonna buy it. If it's too dirty, it's gonna look too Lord of the Rings. You know, you gotta really get it just right. You know, so that's something I found they found a nice balance in that fan film.
Yeah.
Like, it was legit, but it wasn't like, oh, that's way too clean. It looks like a cheap cosplay. Not a good cosplay, because there are really good cosplays, but that's like my first cosplay.
there's a lot of fan videos on YouTube where it does just look like cheap cosplay. Yeah. Which is fine. Yeah. I mean, like, you can't hate on someone just because they're not rich. So
True, no. And this is not a smack at cosplay as well, because there are cosplays that are made on a shoestring and are like actually incredible. People are always surprised me at how talented people are. They just whip these things out with no preconceptions about how to do anything, but really impressive. It's very impressive.
All right, well, did you guys see the message about cutting it short?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I responded.
We also both replied to them the message, but
so if we can tomorrow or the next day, we're going to pick up with if there's another big piece of news that comes out, like if Nintendo just suddenly announces a new Zelda game tomorrow, I'll be sure to add that to the list. But we will continue with the list discussion and answering everyone's Zelda questions tomorrow.
Great.
So this gives everybody a chance, if you're watching, to leave a comment on the actual video when it's posted, or go to our Discord to leave your question so we can make sure to get all of the best questions that we can.
Yes, because we don't have any questions this week.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time it ever happened.
Yeah.
Well, like,
Even the week you weren't here.
I've been promoting them for the voice actors, and I didn't promote anything for this week, so nobody had a chance. There was one person when I posted like 10 minutes ago, or 10 minutes before we began, that we were going to do it. But yeah. So Ilya, where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube. Just look up Ilya Rose. I have a YouTube channel. I have a few videos. I talk about geeky things, mostly Zelda, but sometimes other things. I have a Twitter at Rose_Ilya. I have an Instagram at IlyaRose_GeekApprentice. Yes, I'm a geek and I do voiceover work for GameOverJesse, and it's awesome. So you hear my shrilly high voice sometimes.
Daniel.
You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at CaptBurgerson, where I post things. If you follow me on Twitter, you can see more of me
Those
retweeting
things.
Jesse, and you can follow me on Instagram, where I post pictures of the things that are on my shelf already behind me. And I also have a website that is burgersonmedia.com, where I go and post all my little projects that I work on, including videos that I edit for other people and original music that you can use in your own videos if you want. Just hit me up and I will send you the files for that. And I also forget to mention frequently that I have a YouTube channel called an SAG Film, which I haven't posted on in months, but there are some actually really good videos that I've worked on there. So yes, go and watch some of those and I will love you. And Jesse, where can people find you? None of these people watching have ever heard of you.
Oh,
You're a rising star.
I am Jesse. You can find me at GameOverJesse, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, the Facebook fan page.
Jesse, that's too many usernames for us to remember.
Everything is just GameOverJesse, except PlayStation. PSN is the only thing that's not GameOverJesse. Someone else had GameOverJesse. I think they were a fan of mine.
They're a poser.
And their name may have also just been Jesse, but I added him as a friend because I was like, he can't take my name and not be friends with me.
It's funny because that's where the capped part of Capped Burgerson came from. My username was just Burgerson before, and when I was making my Xbox Live account back in the day, in like literally a decade ago, Burgerson was taken, and I was choked. And then my friend was like, everyone calls you Captain, so just Captain Burgerson. So then I just shortened to Capped. But it's funny how that one really stuck. But funny how these things come about. So what is your PlayStation one then, Jesse?
It has
you don't have to tell me. It's
0.
okay. I don't even have a PlayStation.
No, it has a 0 instead of an O. So it still looks like
GameOverJesse.
Yeah, GameOverJesse. All right. Well, thank you,
and that's
Daniel.
your name on every social media, right?
Yeah, GameOverJesse. No.
Absolutely.
But thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Ilya. And thank you everyone who's tuned in to watch. Again, we will continue this tomorrow, maybe around the same time, maybe a bit earlier, depending on when everyone gets off work. So, bye everybody.
Goodbye!
Hey everyone, it's me again, Ilya Rose. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching this video. And you know what? If you're a fan of videos like this, you should totally subscribe and give this video a like, and comment below to let us know what type of videos you would like to see us create in the future. And if you would really like to support all of us here at the GameOverJesse channel, please consider purchasing a GameOverJesse t-shirt or becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/GameOverJesse, where you can receive many rewards, such as getting shoutouts, having any topic or theory that you select discussed on the podcast or made into its own video, having your question answered, joining on as a guest on the podcast, and playing with us during our Twitch live streams at twitch.tv/GameOverJesse, and much, much more.